Hey, and welcome back to Jen and Dan's Natural Healing with Plants, the go-to podcast for holistic health seekers looking to harness the power of nature for healing and health. I'm Jen. I'm a passionate health educator, whole food plant-based culinary coach, and master herbalist. And I'm here with my friend Dan, an exercise specialist and wonderful master herbalist. Together, we dive into the world of natural healing, bringing you a wealth of knowledge and practical advice. We draw from both traditional wisdom and modern science with herbs and foods to help you achieve optimal health. So here's a shocking fact. Someone dies from heart disease every 33 seconds in the United States. It's a leading cause of death worldwide. Yet most people don't even know that they have a heart condition or they're at risk. It was just 8 years ago, it was a death every 90 seconds, but now we're at every 33 seconds. That's crazy.
Wow, that's scary.
Yeah.
And the more scary is most heart attacks happen, and the doctor says, "Oh, your cholesterol's good. It's in a normal level."
Yeah, you're normal.
hmm
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
normal for a nation that has a lot of heart attacks, I don't know if that's good enough.
Yeah, I don't think I want to be normal.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah, you're not safe because you're quote unquote normal, right? There
yeah,
are there are some things that we like to look for in blood work. And one thing that they don't check regularly is LP little a, lipoprotein little a, is not a standard blood test, but it totally should be a standard blood test. I don't know why they don't check it. I don't know why they check it. It's a cheap test, and you could ask your doctor to run it if you're listening and you've never had it checked, have it checked. So a lot of times they'll say if the LP little a is high, it's genetic and there's nothing else you can do about it, but that is totally untrue. I know several people personally who they were in the hundreds, 300 something, their LP little a, and they've gotten it down maybe to 70. So you can't, it might not be able to reduce it as low as it should be, but to go from hundreds to, 70 is great. If you could go from, if you have like 40, then it's not genetic. Your cholesterol is not genetically high. You can bring that down lower. And if it's low, then you're like, you know what? This is really not a risk for me. There are other things I could be checking out instead. But there's so many things that cause cholesterol to go up. And so cholesterol is not just related to what we eat, like we're told, is to the fat, fried foods, things like that. Yes, don't eat those. But cholesterol can go up for many, many different reasons.
yeah. So there's another thing we can throw in too is a lot of the medication, like the statins and the blood pressure drugs. They act
Yeah,
like those protect you from your lifestyle, but they really don't do that much. I'm not saying not to quit, don't stop taking them, but they don't really
right.
give you that much protection.
It's a mask.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's just a mask. If we are to like, especially like blood pressure medicine, if
Oh
we're
yeah.
lowering your blood pressure, your body still wants your blood pressure to be higher. Your body is wanting that. It's an alarm. It's an alarm system. If
Yeah.
your cholesterol's up, if your blood pressure's up, your body, there's something going on. And if we just give you a medication to make those numbers look good, guess what? Your body is still creating damage. Your body is still working overtime for whatever was causing those numbers to go up. So we really need to find out what's behind that. What's causing your blood pressure to go up? What's causing your cholesterol to go up? We can't just keep eating your whatever you're eating, your French fries every day and your bacon and your fried eggs, because this medicine's going to make your numbers look good. Guess what? You still have heart disease.
So what are some of the other things we have to look for if our cholesterol's high? If we say we're eating a really good diet and it's not where we want it to be.
Yes. Okay, so for me, I'm whole food plant-based, not a lot of fats. I exercise all the time. My cholesterol will go up if there's some underlying inflammation inside. So my medical history, for those of you new to me, I have a history with autoimmune disease. I've had, usually if you have one, you have more than one. I've had several different autoimmune diseases pop up. I've been able to reverse those, but my cholesterol will go up when my autoantibodies start going up. And so for me, for anyone who does have autoimmune disease, so if you're listening, you probably don't, um, unless you follow me. If so I have to have my antibodies checked regularly, 3, 4 times a year. And so I get my cholesterol, a full cholesterol panel checked every time too, because I can track that. I can see, if these numbers are going up and my cholesterol is going up, then I know, okay, I need to figure out where some inflammation is going on in the body. And it could be stress related. Stress creates inflammation. Stress creates um, high cortisol. If I'm not taking my breaks throughout the day, like something that I've started doing is I do meditation now 4 times a day, for 10-minute breaks a day, which is huge for me because I'm someone who wouldn't take a break at all during the day. But even just something like that, just to lower cholesterol, to remind me to step back and relax that, not everything is an emergency. So what if I don't get an email out today? So what? That's not a medical emergency. Me not taking care of my health is a medical emergency. I need to make sure that I'm taking care of me. So stress can be a huge one. So if I'm stressed out, my cholesterol will start going up. Because when you're stressed, your cortisol goes up, your blood sugar goes up. When blood sugar goes up, that creates inflammation in the body. And so sometimes we don't see that, especially if you're only having, your glucose checked on a regular blood test. You also need your A1C and your fasting insulin checked as well, especially um, if you've been diagnosed with a heart disease, if with heart disease, if you're on statins, if you're on high blood pressure, then you definitely need to go and get your A1C and your fasting insulin checked, because there's most likely an underlying blood sugar thing going on that your doctor doesn't even know about, because doctors don't test those. Doctors don't look at that until you have diabetes. And guess what? Once you have diabetes, you already have some retina damage and some nerve damage as well. And so those are things we need to get checked. I didn't mean to go on a tangent, but stress, stress, stress. We need to watch the stress, find ways to avoid that. And also toxins. We're surrounded by toxins. I mean, just here in my home, I get toxins from, if I'm not drinking clean water, I do have a distiller. So I do have distilled water that I drink. But I have wooden countertops that have some kind of coating on them that gives off some VOCs, right? I go outside and I breathe air, and there's, pollution in the air. There's, different things on my clothes that I'm breathing in. So we're exposed to all those things. And if I'm not paying attention to what's in my toothpaste, my face wash, my moisturizer, my shampoo, my conditioner, my shaving cream, all of those things, all of those also add stress to the body, which can actually lead to heart disease. Is something that we don't even think about.
Yeah, a lot of hidden things that people, even the doctors don't, they won't talk about. They don't know about it either.
Yeah, your doctor doesn't know.
Mm-mm.
Unless they've gone to functional medicine and they're like, wait,
Yeah.
why are these statins not helping my patients? Why is this heart medicine not helping my patients? Why do I have to give them more and more medication? The doctors who've gone through it themselves, then they start going, wait a minute, I need to see what's the real issue here.
So
And
the Go ahead.
well, if cholesterol is what leads to heart attacks, then how come people can have a heart attack that don't have high cholesterol?
Well, obviously there's something else going on. I
Hmm.
mean, sometimes the arteries can be damaged. I mean, and and there's genetics definitely do play a role. I don't harp on genetics a lot because, as you know, if you
Yeah,
live a healthy enough lifestyle, you can actually trump your bad genetics. But
that's right.
you have to make sure you're living a healthy lifestyle to keep to stay healthy. But I guess
Right.
there's other things that can damage your arteries, like instead of just cholesterol, like you're talking about, if your blood sugar's messed up all the time,
Yeah. Yeah. Blood
stress.
sugar, stress, toxins, fried foods, fried oils. There's different foods as well that can cause um damage to the arteries. Mostly I think of toxins,
Yeah.
but we don't think of food as being a toxin. However, probably everyone has seen pictures where people will post like a McDonald's Happy Meal or something that's been sitting out for 10 years and it hasn't changed at all.
Oh yeah.
Well, I mean, that's full of chemicals and preservatives. Well, if I'm eating that, all those chemicals and preservatives, not to mention what that actually is, that's not a food. That's not a food. That's not a food. There's no part of a Happy Meal that looks like something that's grown outside is an actual food, right?
Mm-mm. And
Right.
people, well, but it's cheap to go get A Happy Meal, yeah, but think of this, it's cheap right now, but
It'll
do you know
cost you
how
in the
high
long.
medical bills are?
Yes.
If you have a heart attack, that's probably going to cost you at least 100 grand if you live through it.
Right.
So,
Yes. Yes. The most people, I can't remember the percentage. I wish I had it with me right now. What percentage of people find out they have heart disease when it's fatal?
hmm, it's a
Right.
lot.
Yeah, people have no idea that they even have something going on until a relative finds them, which my husband, I don't know, I don't remember how many relatives. He's had two or three cousins that have been found dead.
Wow.
Right. I mean, how horrible is that?
That's,
Not only to die alone, but to be found, days later.
yeah,
Yeah, I mean that's absolutely horrible. It's horrible and it's avoidable. And if when people say, well, it's genetic, but it's genetic because we eat the same way our family eats. We move the same way our family moves. So I grew up with parents who went to the gym and worked out with weights. Exercise was huge. And that's just always been a part of my life, you know? But my husband didn't grow up in a home like that. And weights, like we have all this weight equipment. I have a whole gym. My husband's not even interested in it because he didn't even grow up with that. And so and heart disease runs in his family. Well, if he went to, my husband's a farmer on an organic farm. So he is actually exercising, working out constantly. But if we were all, we don't have to do what our family does. If I switch, so I worked for Dr. Rita Marie Lascalzo, and some of you may have heard of her, but her family history, she said that they ate, canned fruits and vegetables. They didn't eat, fresh fruits and vegetables. It was all canned. And she didn't even know about fresh fruits and vegetables. And I've met other people like that too, who have close to me, neighbors and stuff. They've never had fresh fruits and vegetables. So genetically, it may look like heart disease runs in their family. They all have heart disease. That's because they're not eating fresh fruits and vegetables.
exactly.
Yeah,
Exactly.
yeah,
And, it's funny that we live in one of the richest countries in the world in America. We have all the state of the art medical procedures and drugs. And a lot of people think, well, this will save me. But the truth is, a simple plant-based diet with exercise, I mean, it trumps all that stuff. So it blows it out of the water. I mean, I
right,
saw a study where it's on Dr. Greger's site talking about how a plant-based diet works 20 times better than drugs and surgery for heart disease.
right, right. And not only does it work for heart disease, it works for other diseases as well. It works for helping with blood sugar. It works for helping with kidney disease. It works for helping with strokes and brain disorders, dementia. I mean, the list is never ending, all the things that a plant-based diet helps with.
Yeah, I saw the other day there's science is showing that 90% of diseases a plant-based diet can prevent or help recover from. 90% is like most of our diseases
Wow.
are lifestyle. In the modern era, most of our diseases are caused by lifestyle factors,
Yeah.
lack of exercise, poor diet, toxins.
Yeah.
And this is
Yeah.
good news because you can change. You can start eating healthier, try to avoid toxins as much as you can, and start
Mhm.
exercising. And you can put the odds in your favor of living a long, healthy life while all these diseases that seem to just, the doctor might tell you it's bad luck, right? If you have it's bad luck, like, come on now.
Well, I was told that with my autoimmune disease.
Yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. No one knows what causes it. It's just you got the short stick,
yeah.
right?
Talk about taking accountability away to people. Well, there's
I
nothing you can
know.
do. There's nothing you can do. So just, just keep living
Yeah.
like you are. It's okay.
Right. Right. Yeah. And stay on these meds for the rest of your life. And when you get worse, we just up your meds.
Yeah. That's the best way I have to offer.
Right.
It's
Right.
ridiculous.
It's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. It's wrong. Studies have showed you can reverse heart disease. Studies have showed
Hmm.
you can reverse type 2 diabetes. These are things that we don't hear about in the conventional medical system, but you can. You can reverse disease. You can reverse disease. You can reverse disease. You are not a victim of whatever is going on in your body.
Exactly.
You can take control. There is hope and you can do it. And so, real quickly, let's talk about the foods, which most people probably already know what they should eat and what they shouldn't. And then we'll talk about some herbs that can support that too.
Okay.
Yeah, so number one is leafy greens. Leafy greens are wonderful. They help to produce nitric oxide in the body, which helps to open up the arteries and the veins to increase blood flow. It just really helps to keep the arteries flexible. Not to mention, your dark leafy greens are really, really high in minerals and chlorophyll, which Dr. Christopher says chlorophyll is the lifeblood of the body. And so we definitely want to eat lots of leafy greens as much as possible. So what does that mean? For me, if I have a client that has heart disease, then we're going to be talking about having greens 3 times a day. And so if you don't eat any leafy greens, that may seem crazy. So just start where you are. Start with what you can do. You know, if you we've got to get away from the cold cereals. Cereals that come in boxes and bags, those are highly processed foods. They don't look like anything out in the yard. You know, if you grow oats, the oats out in your yard don't look anything like a granola in a box in the grocery store, right? And so, and not to mention all the sugars that are added to them as well. An oat outside in your yard doesn't look anything like a Cheerio, not to mention the glyphosate that's on those Cheerios, right? And so we really need to pay attention to whole foods. I got away. So we definitely want the leafy greens. So my point was eat, you know, something with leafy greens. If you like a savory breakfast, like you normally eat eggs for breakfast, we don't promote eggs. Eggs are not healthy. The eggs produce inflammation. They're usually cooked in oils unless it's like a boiled egg, but eggs are not a healthy food. But you could eat something savory still, you know, make a chickpea omelet or make a chickpea scramble or a tofu scramble and add in some greens or cook some spinach with it or something and have some greens with that. And, you know, how wonderful is it to go to a restaurant where you have like a brunch type meal? That's easy. Or a green smoothie. Those are really easy. Google green smoothies. They're so easy to throw greens. For lunch, a large salad. You know, Dr. Furman, many doctors, but I always think of Dr. Furman when I think of this. He recommends that we have raw greens and cooked greens every day because a lot of times we need the raw because we need those enzymes that are wonderful for the body, but we need cooked because it's easier to absorb the calcium and some of those minerals in the cooked leafy greens. And so if you could have a raw salad every day and then either have the cooked vegetables, cooked spinach or something at breakfast, or some cooked in your dinner. You know, throw in, if you're eating a soup or a chili or even a black bean soup, I'll just throw in a handful of spinach in the bottom of my bowl and put my soup on top. And, you know, it wilts the greens. You don't even have to cook it in there.
That sounds delicious. I've started to add more greens to my diet lately, and I find that the Instant Pot is my friend for the cooked greens because it's easy for me. So I'm a guy, and
Hmm.
a lot of us guys aren't that good as at cooking, but an Instant Pot, you just throw some greens in there, a little bit of water, it's done in 10 minutes, you know?
Yeah. Yeah. Wonderful. 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 Yes, and then our brightly colored foods. So the first thing I think of is berries. Those brightly colored foods are full of antioxidants and phytochemicals, which are wonderful for the heart and wonderful for the brain. So anytime you sit down to eat, when you go to the grocery store, look in your grocery cart and do I have all the different colors on my grocery cart? Just start there. You know, did I buy a fruit or vegetable in a different color? You know, we don't want a plate that is all just white and brown. We want reds and oranges and, you know, and it doesn't have to be the orange, the fruit. It could be an orange bell pepper. It could be a spaghetti squash, which is really more yellow, but or butternut squash or sweet potato. You know, look for all the different colors. Nuts and seeds, especially flax seeds, chia seeds, hemp seeds, and walnuts, because they're very high in omega-3 fatty acids. They're very cooling for inflammation. They help lubricate the joints. Those are just wonderful to add. And then my favorite is beans. I have beans 3 times a day. I know not everybody does, but beans are so high in protein and different and B vitamins and fibers that help to feed the microbiome. So those are my favorites.
Yeah, that's a really good list to keep your heart healthy. I have a list that you need to avoid.
Yeah.
The first one is processed meats. The number one dietary cause of heart disease, processed meats, all those nitrates and sodium and saturated fat. It's called it's an
Yes.
inflammation bomb. Yeah.
Hot dogs should be
Oh,
banned.
oh
Yes, I mean
yeah.
we start babies, when they first start eating, they give them Vienna sausages and hot dogs. We're starting them off with cancer
Garbage.
and heart disease causing foods. Yes, throw them away. No more hot dogs, no more processed meats. What's a processed meat other than
I
hot
know,
dogs?
like your cold cuts, your salami, your bologna, anything in the pack that's a cold cut. We're looking at pepperoni on your pizza. Uh,
Yeah. Tastes
beef,
delicious, gonna kill
yeah,
you.
yeah, beef jerky, all those
Yeah,
things. I mean, even meat that's not processed, say you go get red meat, it's still not good for your heart. I know people don't want to hear that, but it's not.
right.
It's
It's the truth. Right.
so,
Pork,
oh God, yeah, pork's even,
barbecue,
oh
bacon.
Lord, yeah,
Yeah,
yeah, so much
yeah,
salt, so much saturated fat. It is when you eat things like that, you
yeah,
get so much inflammation.
yeah. Too much inflammation.
The other one is cooking oil. Cooking oils. I'm telling you,
Mm,
just cutting that out alone, you'll start to feel better. You'll start weight start to come off because these oils are so full of calories and they're rancid. So when you eat them, it causes oxidative stress in your body, which causes inflammation. It
yes.
causes your cholesterol to go up. You know, and people say, well, what will I do without oil? Well, you can cook. You can cook with water. You can cook with vinegar. You can cook with vegetable broth. And you won't miss the oil. I don't miss the oil. You can't tell the difference.
You can't tell the difference at all. Yeah, saute with a little bit of water instead of oil. And when you're sauteing, you might have to gradually add a little more water, so that it doesn't stick to the pan, but it cooks up just as well. You can brown onions, you can cook everything in water. And then once you go to a restaurant, you'll be like, oh my God, it's so oily. Then you'll
Oh
start
yeah.
realizing how much oil is in foods that we eat that's so inflammatory. But you can even roast without oil. Use some parchment paper and just roast
Yep.
in the oven. You don't need anything on there. Sometimes I'll use a little broth or vinegar and suck and sprinkle spices on that so they'll stick, when I'm cooking it, but it's still so easy to not cook with the oils.
Yeah, it's funny when you eat this way for a while. I ate out somewhere last week, and I told him to go easy on the oil, but when I took the first bite, my lips had oil on it. I'm like, this is what you
So
call
slimy.
easy?
Yeah. Yeah.
The next on the list is excess salt. So we had to have a little bit of sodium, but the
Yeah.
American diet contains around 6,000 milligrams a day. And
Right.
so this makes your blood pressure go up. It stiffens your arteries. It's bad news.
Linked to stomach cancer. Stomach cancer is linked to high levels of salt.
Yeah. And I saw an article about the Japanese. They eat a really healthy diet, a lot of it plant-based, but they still have a lot of strokes. And they linked it to their miso soup because that soup has so much salt. They
Oh,
said that typical Japanese might have 10,000 milligrams of salt a day. And
whoa.
that's why they're having strokes because it's running their blood pressure too high.
Yeah. Wow. Yes. And so I'm cooking with less salt, saving salt for, just a finish on the end. That way the salt
Mhm.
hits your tongue and it will taste saltier. In my Zen and Zest Zone membership group, we teach people how to cook this way. We only teach whole food plant-based. We teach how to cook without oils and without salt. We're using oil right now because we're doing liver-friendly foods and we use olive oil to help flush the gallbladder, but in most cases, there's no oil, no salt in our classes because it's easy to do. And you can just Google how to make something without oil, and there's tons of recipes.
Oh yeah, there's a lot of whole food plant-based recipes now.
Yeah, yeah. So now let's talk about our herbs for the heart.
Oh yes. I mean, the first one on my list is hawthorn berry because I've seen it do some miraculous things for people and animals. My favorite one on the market is I don't sell it, but Dr. Christopher's hawthorn berry syrup. That stuff is golden.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah.
it just protects your heart from oxidative stress. It helps strengthen the heart. There's even studies show that if you have a heart attack and you've been taking hawthorn berry for a while, it actually protects your heart from
Mhm.
getting damaged as much. So,
Yes, it got this beautiful red color. And so whenever I think of heart health, I think of foods and herbs that are red. And so hawthorn berry, bright red, cayenne, red,
oh yeah.
rooibos, red, hibiscus, red, and so looking at those kind of herbs, but I didn't mean to get away from our list. So hawthorn berry, definitely. What's another one?
Oh, I love garlic. Garlic it lowers your cholesterol, it can lower your blood pressure. They even say it can help prevent arterial plaque buildup. And I think it's China. It's either China or Japan. The doctors there will prescribe garlic for high blood pressure because it works that well.
I believe it. And then like you can get black garlic or fermented garlic,
Oh
which
yeah.
is shown to even be better because you eat it raw. Have you ever had it?
I haven't. I haven't.
It's delicious and you can eat it. It's almost like candy, but candy with a little garlic flavor. I love
Yum.
I love garlic, but it's really sweet. It's really sweet. So if I make a dressing or something, it's a really great way to have a sweeter garlicky dressing,
Yeah.
without having to add, maple syrup or something like that to your salad dressing. And then when we are using garlic for any medicinal benefits, but especially for the heart, we want the raw. So not cooked garlic. So people will say, well, I eat roasted vegetables with tons of garlic, or I put lots of garlic in my spaghetti sauce, which is great. But if we want the medicinal benefits, we need to eat it raw. And so a lot of times, like if I'm eating a pizza, so yes, I do eat pizza. Mine is a cauliflower crust or a seed crust or a lentil crust, but I will cut garlic in half. And when I pull it out of the oven, I'll just rub, or out of the dehydrator, rub the garlic half all over the crust. And then it gives me that garlic flavor. And then it's fresh and raw garlic too. Or you finish your soup or your salad, you could just get a little grater, like a microplaner or something, and just grate a little fresh garlic on top, and then you get medicinal benefits that way.
Man, you're making me hungry already. Uh, the next one is turmeric because turmeric is a really good inflammation fighter and it helps keep your blood vessels healthy because we want to keep the inflammation down. The less inflammation, the healthier our heart will be and our arteries. So turmeric is, and you can add it to your food. You can also get capsules if you want to and make your own
Mhm.
capsules or get a good brand that's already made. So,
Yes. And with turmeric, I love ginger. And so they usually go
mm,
together in almost
mm,
anything. So you can make a wonderful curry or masala with turmeric and ginger. But ginger, so for some reason, turmeric gets all the credit, but ginger is just as wonderful at fighting inflammation and pain and preventing blood clots as well.
oh yeah. And of course, the master herb, cayenne pepper. The,
Cayenne, my
man,
favorite. Yes.
yes,
Yes, it's a
yes.
blood thinner. It helps to stabilize blood pressure. And medical disclaimer, I'm not telling you to do this, do your own due diligence. But Dr. Christopher and Dr. Schultz, they both said in your first aid kit, keep cayenne pepper tincture if someone is having, heart symptoms. Like they think they're having a heart attack or something, you give them a tincture of cayenne pepper and it helps to regulate the blood pressure.
Yes. I
Yeah.
told you about the study in South America. They say that South Americans have less strokes and heart attacks than Americans, and they wanted to find out why. And they found that they eat cayenne peppers with every meal. And
Wow.
that was the reason why. It keeps your blood thinner.
Yeah. Well, Dr. Christopher told us to have it 3 times a day.
Oh yeah, he said if you don't do any herb but one herb, make it cayenne pepper because I mean he had rheumatic heart disease and he was able to reverse it with cayenne pepper and plant-based diet.
Right.
So,
Yes. Yeah. I love cayenne for many, 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 many different things. And if you think you can't have it, it's just look it up. There's so many. Cayenne is like fabulous for everything.
oh yeah.
Fabulous for everything. Yeah.
Well, a lot of people think it's bad for your stomach, but it's not. It's
Right.
not. I
Right.
mean,
Even helps with stomach ulcers.
yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. And so it's another one.
Well, this one is motherwort, and a lot of people think of motherwort as a female herb, but it's also really good for your heart and the heart rhythm. It can actually help your heart if you have palpitations, things like that.
Yeah.
It,
AFib.
yeah, it can help get your heart back into rhythm.
Yes, it's a wonderful one. So we use it. I use it in my husband's heart tonic tea. It is wonderful at regulating heart rhythm and palpitations. And so, and a lot of times it is used in some female herbs, especially during times of change. So when teens are going through hormonal changes, when women are going through menopause, men are going through andropause. Anytime there's hormone changes, there can be some changes in heart rhythm, and so motherwort is a wonderful tonic herb to be used for those different things. And for me, history of Graves' disease, which high anxiety and heart rhythms and stuff like that, motherwort has been a wonderful herb as a go-to when I did have issues with that.
Talking about heart rhythm, I had a client a few years ago. His heart was getting out of sync for up to an hour. And I make this,
Wow.
yeah, he was scared. I would have been too. But
Yeah.
I make a cayenne tincture right here at home. It's 100,000 heat unit cayenne peppers. So I gave
Wow.
him some of it.
Uh-huh.
And so the next time his heart got out of rhythm, he said he took the cayenne pepper, put a tincture full under his tongue and held it. It would be hot, but he said within 5 minutes his heart converted back to normal rhythm.
Yeah.
And he thought it might have been a fluke, but the next time his heart did it, he tried the kind again. It did the same thing. So this is like the things you learn just through experience and trying things. He said
Yeah.
every time his heart would get out of rhythm, the cayenne pepper would bring it back. And eventually, after he took the cayenne and hawthorn for a while, his heart went back to rhythm, and it hasn't given him any trouble for like 5 years.
Wow.
So that was I mean, that even surprised me that it was doing that. But yeah, he said within 5 minutes it would go right back to normal. I was like, wow.
That's fabulous.
So you can
Yeah.
never, you cannot discredit these herbs. I mean, these herbs
Mm-mm.
are sent here. They're really a treasure for us if you just give
Yes.
them a chance.
Right. Now you can't just add the herbs to your lifestyle without making other changes, though. You
Yeah.
still need to, because poor sleep, poor diet, poor stress, all of those things, as well as smoking, alcohol,
Um,
excess caffeine, and not drinking enough water. All of those can affect your health of your heart. And so you need to be really careful. So we're at time, so we don't have time to go into those, but we do have other episodes where we do talk about some of these other things that do affect the heart. And so make sure that you are focusing on the health of your heart today, because remember, as we said, most people don't find out until they have a fatal heart attack. Don't be one of those numbers. Don't be one of those numbers. Don't wait until you have a problem. Go ahead and start thinking about things you can do to take care of your heart now, while you can, right?
Good advice.
Yes. So make sure you're focusing on that. If you would like to learn more about Dan, go to danthenaturalman.com. He does work as a personal trainer, and he is wonderful at helping people put herbal health plans together. You can find out more about me at holisticgen.com. That's with the W. And I love helping clients as well. And I have my membership, the Zen and Zest Zone, where I teach herbal workshops and cooking classes every month. So you can find out more about that there at holisticgen.com or thegentwins.com. And you can check out the show notes as well. If you enjoy this recipe, if you enjoy this episode, please let us know. A comment. We love to hear from you. If there's something you don't agree with, we want to hear that as well. We definitely love to hear from our listeners. We love that you have taken the time out of your day to listen to us today. So until next time, take care of you and your heart.